Hello buns, welcome back to Cinnabun Sundays. I'm sure you realize that this video already feels a little bit different. There's no fun intro. It's really not going to be a super highly edited, highly produced video because I really just want to talk to you guys about something pretty serious and just get stuff off my chest. I'm gonna try my best in this video to just talk very candidly and not edit this video a lot because I really just want to sit and share. I have been sharing on YouTube for 2 years and there's something about Cinnabun's health that I've kind of just kept to myself, not to be sneaky and secretive, but just because it's serious and it's something that I have had to deal with, especially for the last year. But I don't know, I've been thinking a lot about how I share so much with y'all and I want to be really transparent, and this is a real struggle that comes with rabbit ownership, not for everybody, but for some people like myself. So here I am just kind of opening up and sharing all of Cinnabun's health problems. It's really just one main thing. So Cinnabun struggles with, I don't actually think this is a real term, it's just what I call it, but chronic stasis. She goes into GI stasis a lot. And for reference, Cinnabun is 2.5 years old. She is completely healthy. She goes in for checkups often. She has healthy ears, teeth, and when she's good, she's great. However, she has gone into stasis just in this past year, probably like 6 times. Now I've documented on my channel her going into stasis twice. And part of the reason for that is the first time I documented it, that was her first time going into stasis and I really wanted to share that experience. And the second time I had already been filming a vlog, so it was like the front of my mind to film it. But to be honest, anybody who has gone through having a rabbit that is sick knows that the last thing you want to do in that moment is pick up a camera. So that's one of the big reasons why I didn't document these other times. But another reason is because I was kind of embarrassed, and I'll talk more about this once I get into the story, I promise. Part of me felt really embarrassed that I have this rabbit that keeps getting sick. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? I don't know. I am this spokesperson almost for like rabbit wellness and rabbit care. So why do I have a rabbit that I can't keep healthy? So before I go any deeper, I'm just gonna go ahead and talk about what's been happening. So the first time Cinnabun went into stasis, I have that entire thing documented. And if you are new to rabbit care and don't know what GI stasis is, I really encourage you to watch that video. I completely explain what is happening, why it's dangerous, and all of that. So make sure you watch that video before watching this. Just to highlight, in that video, I wasn't sure what caused Cinnabun's stasis. I have now learned that Cinnabun gets very sensitive to rabbit hair. So any time she sheds, she goes into stasis. And Cinnabun's molts are a little different than like the regular rabbit molt. I've done molting videos before, and typically with a rabbit, when they molt, which is like shedding all of their fur off, they start on their nose and it travels back through their body in a line, so you can literally see a line of fur coming off their body. And typically with molts like that, it's a pretty consistent process and it lasts like 2 to 3 weeks. But with Cinnabun, she molts kind of in patches, so it'll start and stop. Like she'll start shedding and she'll lose a lot of fur like in one area and then just stop for a few weeks and then start a huge shed on a different area. So because of that, she's shedding these big amounts multiple times a year, and every single time she has done that, she goes into stasis. Now, before I get a million comments that are like, you're not brushing her enough, she's not eating enough hay, I promise you I am. I brush her every single day for a long time when she is in those shedding periods. I give her so much hay. I give her digestive biscuits. I do everything that I personally and that my vet thinks I need to be doing. She is just what you would classify as a highly sensitive rabbit. But anyway, I'll get to how we figured out that diagnosis in a second. The first time she went into stasis, I did not know what caused it. Yes, she had been shedding, but in my mind, like, I had been doing all of those things right, brushing her a lot, giving her hay. I just didn't think that was it. I thought maybe she was stressed about something. There are just so many things that can cause stasis. It can be hard to pinpoint. Anyway, we went into the vet. I had them do x-rays. I had them do everything. Again, I documented that and she got better. About a month later, again, she starts shedding again, and lo and behold, she goes into stasis again. And this time it was really scary because it was on a weekend, so my vet was not open. I was able to like keep her going with infant gas drops, and then I took her into the vet the very next day. Again, she got better, all of that. So this happened a few times. Again, every single time it was when she was shedding, but I just wasn't connecting those dots yet. After about 4 times of stasis, so like pretty much 4 months in a row where once a month she was going into stasis, my vet, we did a deeper dive because I was like, what am I doing wrong? We had x-rays done. They checked her teeth because a lot of times lop-eared rabbits can be prone to like teeth problems and dental disease. They checked her ears, they checked her whole body. Like we did the full check and nothing seemed wrong. So that's when I started being like, is she just chronically ill? What's going on? But then another vet who was like the head exotic vet at my area came and looked at her. He told me that he had seen this before. It was rare, but he actually had a few rabbits that saw him that had the same problem. And he explained to me that some rabbits just are really, really susceptible to hair in their stomach. And he actually ended up prescribing me pain medicine to give to her. He told me that these rabbits that he's cared for, they're like 6, 7, 8 years old. They've lived long, healthy lives, and pretty much anytime they shed and you notice that sign of stasis immediately, give them a dose of this pain medicine and it pretty much will clear it up within a few hours. That to me was scary because this pain medicine, I'm not going to say the name of the pain medicine in this video because I'm not a vet, I'm not a doctor. I don't want to tell you to go out and get a certain prescription. I want that to come from your vet. But anyway, this pain medicine that my vet gave, typically they don't prescribe. So I got like special permission from him to administer it. At that point, after he said that, I started like, I don't know, being a lot more aware of her shedding patterns. Like again, for some reason, it just wasn't clicking. There's just so many things that can cause stasis. Again, like I thought that maybe she had gotten hurt. I thought maybe something stressed her out. Like maybe she ate something weird, especially with a free roam rabbit. It's just hard to know what can cause it because they can't talk. They can't really show signs of pain until they're really in pain. So it's just hard to know what's going on. At this point, it was like February of last year. So she had gone into stasis about 4 times. Around March, that's when she started her spring shed. Really, it was more like April. So we actually had like 2 months that were really good. She hadn't been shedding. I was like, wow, Cinnabun's really healthy. Her shed started. And again, brushing, doing all of the things, but I think it was one dinner time. It wasn't even breakfast, it was a dinner. I put her pellets out and she ate some, but not a lot. I called my vet immediately, was like, hey, am I good to give her this pain medicine? What do you think? And they were like, give her the pain medicine. Don't bring her in yet. Just give her the pain medicine, see if it helps, because honestly, sometimes bringing them into the vet, putting them in the car and going through that can make them more stressed and just make it worse. So they were like, give her the pain medicine, wait a few hours, see if she starts getting better. If she starts getting better, don't bring her in. It kind of got worse before it got better. Like she started more going into stasis because she had just been starting. I gave her the pain medicine and then for the next few hours, she started going into that hunched position, not eating. But then she took a long nap, woke up, instantly went to her food. I kept giving her the pain medicine for another 2 to 3 days to make sure everything was good, but she went right back to normal. So at this point I started thinking, okay, interesting. Let's just track this a little more. So that was around April, and her spring shed was not nearly as bad as her like winter fall shed. So she shed one more time, and it was actually right before I went to Greece, and it was my worst fear that she would get sick while I was in Greece. So about a week before I went to Greece, I noticed the same thing, just not really having an appetite. And at that point I jumped into action. I gave her pain medicine, I gave her infant gas drops, and I gave her a dose of critical care, just all of the things I needed to do. And within a few hours, she was back to hopping around, back to eating food. I continued that for a few days. She was totally fine. I was able to go out of town. Bryant watched her, completely healthy, completely fine. All summer passed, nothing. She wasn't shedding at all. She was a healthy little bunny. So I think that was our longest stretch since Cinnabun became an adult rabbit and started molting that she had not gotten sick. So that was May, and now it is October. And this past weekend, you probably noticed I did not post a Cinnabun Sundays video. That is because Cinnabun's molt has started and she went into stasis again. This time it was really tough to catch. She'd eaten her breakfast that morning, she'd eaten her dinner, but then that night I was watching Dancing with the Stars, and typically when I watch TV, Cinnabun comes into the living room and watches with me. And when the show ended, I realized Cinnabun had never come in. So I went into the bunny room and she was like in a little hunched position under a chair, and I knew immediately. And it was 10 p.m. No vets are open. So again, I gave her critical care, infant gas drops, her pain medicine, and I stayed up with her. It was really, really hard just like being awake and wanting her to eat, but there came a point where I'm like, this is when she'd be sleeping anyway, so I just let her sleep. I slept on the sofa, and then when she woke up, she jumped right down to her plate of food, gobbled it up, went to the bathroom, did all of the things, and I've been treating her, giving her pain medicine since. She is completely healthy, completely fine, but it's just another instance of it happening. That's my long-winded like story of every time she goes into stasis. But now I just want to talk a little bit more about, again, why I haven't shared and just why this is scary. It's really hard for me knowing that every time Cinnabun is shedding, no matter what I do, she's going into this pain. But what's even harder about it is it's just like, it's comforting now that I know what to do when she goes into that. I know exactly what to do anytime I see anything happening. I have the medication on hand. I know exactly how to treat it. And at this point, I like know the timeline pretty well. Hey baby, it's okay. I'll let you in a second. Sorry. But yeah, at this point, I know the timeline pretty well for like what to expect during the process. But GI stasis is like the #1 killer in rabbits. So even though I have seen her go through mild stasis multiple times now, every single time it happens, I just think, what if this is the time? You know, like, oh my God, it just scares me so much that like one time it's just the care that I give her is not going to be enough. And like, that's going to be the time that it gets really, really serious and she needs to go into surgery or worse, she doesn't make it, which is super morbid. And I really hope that if I can keep this under control, be super alert and aware, she can live a long and happy little life. My vet has told me that she is otherwise super healthy. She's just really sensitive. And as long as I keep watching her and do the treatment I need to, she's fine. But it's just very scary. And like I said earlier, it's kind of embarrassing for me. Like, I speak so much about how to keep your rabbits healthy, where I have a rabbit that becomes unhealthy a lot. But that's just the case with humans too. Like, some people are more prone to illness than others. Things happen, and I have become more comfortable with that and have learned over the last year that I am not a bad bun parent. If anything, I'm a good bun parent for noticing these things early and figuring out what to do about it. And I've come to terms with that, and that is how I feel about it, which has helped. But what is really scary is that I never know when it's gonna happen. Yes, I can kind of track now if she's shedding what is happening, but like, rabbits shed for long periods of time, and it's not like the second she sheds, it happens. Sometimes it's within a few days, sometimes it's a week after. And you don't really know when your rabbit's gonna start shedding either. It's like a vague month. So it's hard for me to think about planning a vacation, for me to think about going out of town. And you guys know I travel a decent amount, and luckily Bryant is super aware and knows what to do, but it's like my worst fear that me and Bryant will both be gone, and like my dad will be pet sitting or something will be happening and she doesn't eat, and then they have to treat her and they don't know what to look for. So while I can tell instantly when Cinnabun's personality, attitude, appetite changes, someone who doesn't know her as well might miss something and it get worse before they can give her any medicine. So that's just hard. So anytime I travel, I always put medicines out on the counter. I have a like first aid sheet. I have the vet. I have every single thing out. I'm like, call me the second she doesn't finish every bite of lettuce. Call me the second she acts a little weird, stuff like that. It sucks, okay? Like, this is the part of rabbit ownership that is so important to understand. Like, rabbits are so hard to take care of. There are parts of them that are easier than dogs in the sense you don't have to take them out to the bathroom all the time. They're quiet, they're not super messy, but like, their health is so fragile. They are so fragile, and their care is so specific that you cannot mess up with these rabbits. You need to know what you're getting into. So take it from me, it is so exhausting. And this is really, really honest, and I hate saying this, so please don't get mad at me for it. But like, every time Cinnabun goes into stasis, I think, do I even want to have another rabbit if something were to happen to her? Like, this is horrible, this feeling. It is so scary knowing that like at any minute she could just like get sick and die. And I know other animals are like that too, but especially rabbits, like, and especially her. So I think a lot. I'm like, do I even want to have this channel? Do I even want to have another rabbit if something were to happen to her? Like, is it worth it? And I don't know. I mean, I think so, but it like hurts my heart. It hurts me. And just the thought of her going away is like I don't know how, I'm not gonna even like get there. I'm not gonna let my brain go there because I don't want to cry today. I don't want to feel that. So that's not what this video is about. All of this to say, I'm starting to go down a rabbit hole, if you will, of all of this, but that is the truth about what has been going on with Cinnabun. That is the truth about us, about her health, about just rabbit health in general. This is not common. My vet, it took us a while, like my vet and I figuring it out, but it does happen. Some rabbits have different problems, but it's a thing. So please comment down below if you have had a similar situation. I am just going to be really honest. If you leave any mean, negative comments about my ownership with her, I will be blocking you. Like, I have gone through hell this last year thinking that I'm a terrible rabbit owner, and I just can't have this out there and have people telling me that it's true, because I know it's not. My vet tells me it's not. I know it's not. Cinnabun tells me, like, with her personality and her love, that it's not. So I have done everything I can do, and this has worked for us, but this is something I'm gonna have to deal with her. So I just wanted to share that. I am so sorry that this video is not a fun and happy video, but I think that this also constitutes as a Cinnabun Sundays all things bunny video, because it's very honest, it's very true. This is the most honest I've ever been on this channel. So if you are still watching after like this long ramble, thank you so much for sticking around, and just know that I really appreciate you and I really appreciate your support. It is what keeps me going through this and what reminds me of how great rabbit ownership can be, because in those dark times, it's dark. Like, it's bad. The highs are so high, but nursing her back to health every couple of months is just something that I hope no one has to go through. It's horrible. I am here to say that Cinnabun is healthy and happy. I mean, you've heard her hopping around this room. She is just happy as can be, a healthy little girl, and I am doing my very best to make sure that that stays true. That is all for this week's video. I promise next week's video is going to be much more fun and much more back to our regular content, but I just wanted to share this, and I hope that maybe it can resonate with someone who is going through something similar with their rabbit, or at least provide some context of kind of why we've been absent more recently. That is all for this video, buns, and we will see you in the next one. Bye, buns.